So I just came back from a walk with my dog. We have a puppy, and by walk I mean I take my scooter and he walks. I really can't walk that far because my body just really hurts after walking far distances. But my puppy needs exercising, and so I use my scooter, and he walks next to me, and he's actually really good walking next to me. But while I was walking around the neighborhood, I noticed that there were like a lot of houses and that had ramps going up the front, and it made me think about accessibility to places. I know with the ADA, buildings now have to be accessible, and in the town that I live in, actually, downtown where like all the happenings are and the bars and local restaurants and all that stuff. Actually, quite a few of those buildings are not accessible. I know when I first moved here, I was like, ooh, a local coffee shop. That's awesome. I would rather do local, buy local, than go to a franchise. So I was like, ooh, a coffee shop. But the one day I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go get coffee at the local coffee shop. I pulled up and what did I see? A curb. And I saw a step going into the building. And I was like, oh, kind of stinks. I was really wanting to try and buy local, but apparently it's not accessible. And I've also noticed that I think almost all the tattoo parlors are not accessible via the front entrance. I don't know if they have rear entrance that's accessible. I really don't know. I went to a bar with my friend one time, and we had to use the entrance where they actually bring like all the cases of beer and the cases of booze and all that stuff in. We had to use that entrance to get into the bar. So, from my perspective as a person with a disability, it's a little frustrating that in 2017, what is it, almost 30 years after, Jesus, has it been that long? No, 20 years. I'm sorry, 1990. Yeah, almost 20 years later, because in 1990 the ADA was signed by President uh, not Judge George W. Bush, George H.W. Bush. And so the ADA, all buildings are supposed to be accessible, except for the little fine print that they don't tell you about when buildings are grandfathered in. You gotta love when things are grandfathered in, right? Because yeah, that's like the loophole that where we live in we have a historical building, so we're not accessible. I mean, there's this really cute place I would love to go to downtown that has a rooftop like restaurant, and it overlooks the lake, and it's really cool. And I told my husband, I'm like, oh, I would really love to go there. Now, I don't know if they're handicapped accessible, but it wouldn't surprise me. I'll just put it that way. It wouldn't surprise me if they weren't accessible because it is a historical building in downtown, and a lot of them are not accessible. It's just a fact. So when I hear about how things are, accessible and you can get in buildings and all this stuff, it's the idea of accessibility in getting in a building and the reality of getting into a building are two totally different things. I actually had left a Facebook message on the local coffee shop's Facebook page saying that, hey, I'd love to really come in and try your coffee, but you're not handicapped accessible. And I was told that I had to call ahead, that they do have a portable ramp, but I have to call ahead when I'm coming so that they can get the ramp out so that I can get in the store, which is not really fair when you're like, oh, hey, I'm in the mood for a coffee. Let's grab a coffee. Oh, wait, I gotta call ahead and make sure I can get in the building. I don't really think that's right. I think that's just not at all right, actually. Um, there'll be more about accessibility because every time I go to a public place and I have to use the restroom, I constantly have problems with their idea of accessibility and what works for somebody in who's in a wheelchair. I'm not in a wheelchair, but I'm sure I'm not the only person who has problems in public bathrooms. So I thought it would be nice to do like a series on the accessibility of public bathrooms, and that is definitely something that will be coming up in future threads, so you should definitely keep an eye out for that. But yeah, accessibility, it's definitely an interesting funny thing. um, so yeah, all right, have a good night. Bye.